Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders, hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are ready for Wild Wednesday. We got some crazy. I mean, we have 7 hours today. If I did that math correctly, 7 hours of pure craziness, wildness. And I hope you guys are ready. Hope you guys are ready to go because it's going to get very interesting both during the day when we got the Fed coming out talking, doing some rate hikes. Again, what we're expecting on the rate hike is a 0.25 basis point hike, which will cause one reaction. But then what Jerome Powell says after is going to be extremely important for going forward. What is he going to do? My assumption would be that he does not pause rates. He does not come out. He does not say, all right, we are going to pause rates. But then you get a wild day like yesterday where a lot of regional banks got absolutely beat up. So I know WAL was getting crazy. PACW was getting crazy, halted a couple times on both of those. I think KRE, which is the ETF of regional banks, I think at one point was down 6, almost 7% for the day, which is wild. Is there more contagion in the market? And if there is, does that affect Jerome Powell? We did hear from Jerome Powell last meeting from the notes that came out that said essentially they were ready to go half-point hike, but because SVB started going under, that was kind of a natural tightening, at least how they saw it, into the market, and therefore they went only with a 0.25. So does any of FRC relate to any of the message? Also very wild yesterday too. I don't know if anybody caught the news, but the Democrats in the House were basically essentially putting out messages to Jerome Powell, like essentially begging him not to raise rates, which is an interesting turn of events because I know President Biden basically, when he started his campaign and started getting asked about the Fed, his entire stance on it was we're not going to interfere. We're going to let the Feds do what they do. And it's a different part of government. And now you do have Democrats coming out and actually encouraging strongly that he does not raise rates even on this one. So very, very interesting turn of events in that aspect of things, but we'll have to see how everything plays out. But we got Chuck in the house. Good morning, Albert. Good morning to Alex, Bill, Brian Reppel, Carrie, Eric, Fayaz, Gina's in the house, Jay, Jill. Good morning, Joe. We got Kevin, Lauren, Lou, Lucian, Mark, Martinez in the house. Good morning, Rick, Rockful. We got Ron. Good morning, Ron Beatty, Tanya. Good morning, Win, Wale. Good morning. Oh, my people on YouTube land. We got Richard Jett. We got Scott Wentz. We got Daniel. Scott Wentz is throwing out some tickers too. You guys, if you guys want to be like Scott Wentz, you guys could throw tickers into the chat, whether it's in the internal chat or YouTube. We'll make sure we go through. We'll cover them. Right now, though, we got the SPY up on the screen. So let's see what this market is considering. So I was looking at this yesterday, and let's get a fib up here real quick just to see where we got that bounce yesterday. I think 418.30. We didn't quite make it to 418.31, did we? Yeah, let me get this thing off the screen. I think that was my attempted fib from yesterday. Let's draw one more so we get some accurate pricing somewhere to the extent of down there. And I think we got up to right about there. So that was a 618 retest yesterday. We did break through it for a brief moment. We shot right back up, and we're sitting to about 50% of that retest. I think if we're going to do anything like we did the last few Fed meetings, we had a little bit of volatility in the morning, nothing too crazy, but some individual names moved. Otherwise, I think the overall market stays relatively boring and flat today until we get some news from the Fed. So there is some companies with earnings. AMD is one of them, but which we'll definitely take a look at. So some individual companies, I bet the regional banks will probably be moving as well. Maybe some Schwab, some Ally, some things like that could also be affected. Bank of America might be one to watch too, because it's at key levels. And if we start breaking down, that's going to be very interesting, because now some of that is creeping into some of the bigger banks, which is going to be wild. So BAC is going to be one to watch as well. Otherwise, we're right at that 50%. We still look healthy in a bullish direction. If I had to lean anywhere, it would be bullish. Well, I know that's wild. That's wild. The bullish direction is not going to be that impressive in the morning. Again, I'm saying that because we did get a good bounce off the 618. We got a good bounce off the 50. We're still hanging out above the 50. We've been bullish. I want to keep with the trend, but we do have resistance coming in somewhere around 411.79. So we're going to have to check somewhere in that direction. And then the next one up would be about 412.66. Until at least Jerome Powell comes out and we get brand new setups everywhere. We'll see. We got the Qs. So the Qs, a little bit of a gap up from yesterday, even inside of this candle. Let's see where this retest would have been. If we're going to make it bearish case. Bearish case, we're gapping into the 50% retrace, so somewhere around 320.05. And if we want to push onto the 618, that's roughly about 320.60. So maybe, but that is a pretty big wick at the bottom, saying there is some interest from the bulls to try to save this thing. It wasn't a full-on death, although the first good 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours of the day yesterday was just all selling. I think there was one green candle the entire day. So we'll see if we can get, let's see if we get some colors out there at least today, or we're just going to trend solely in one direction. All right, let's take a look at some of the individual names. So we got Scott was first with AMD. AMD did report earnings and they crushed it. And this has been the story of earnings. This has been the story of earnings. They did crush it, but what did we also do essentially into those earnings? We ran up. On average, I think across the board, you usually have about 2.5% moves on companies, just generally speaking. So obviously some's going to be wild, some's nothing, some's negative, but usually you get about 2.5%. This earnings so far, you have about a 0.8% gains across the board on average. So these gains have been a lot smaller. These moves have been a lot smaller, and we've run up into a lot of these earnings. Some of the earnings cannot catch up to the valuations. Dale's in the house, stuff, Dale. So we'll see. But you did get a gap down. This is a pretty significant gap down. We're crossing now below a whole bunch of moving averages. Are we coming into any type of support down here? It's definitely gapping, though. It's also a pretty massive gap as well. So does this income get bought up first? Maybe. Targets on this thing, the next target would be about 82.35. That's probably where we push to after hours. 42.35. Yeah, right now it's looking kind of weak. If I was to even take a play on this thing, I'd probably say, and again, I just don't know. Yeah, it's 82.59. I don't know how much room we're going to get without a retest. So what I like to see before even throwing out, somehow I hate when they put the pens on the different screens. Okay. I would like to see at least a 50% retrace of this. Come back up here, come back down, and then either double bottom or make one new lower low. Something like that would be decent. But right now we do have a VPOC much lower than all of these. We had a nice little uptrend going, kind of continuing, flattened yesterday, and we're breaking and trapping a lot of bulls. So there's a lot of bulls being trapped, and this thing probably ends up doing this. To what extent today, I don't know, but if we could get a 50% retrace, I think that would be very interesting. So essentially that would look And I was trying square yesterday, something similar. I missed it by stupid 7 cents. That would have been a pretty decent crusher. Let's get a fib out here. So if we can get something around 87.35, again, maybe this thing just absolutely comes back. Anything is possible. I just don't see it happening. So I think bearish is the direction. Also, we might not get a retest whatsoever, but if we don't, I don't really want to take the risk. So 87.35. That's big. If I go to 92, that's pretty big. This is a big move after hours. So really for this trade to work, I'd probably have to, and I don't know if this happens, but I'd probably want some kind of a bullish entry right around here. I mean, bullish bearish entry. And then that would give me a much better risk reward to up here. Oops. Something like that would be my stop. So I'm going to wait for us to get a little bit closer. The other thing is this did move significantly after hours. So this is algos pre-running it up. I could probably lower this thing, honestly. But something like that would look decent, and that would give me a very good risk reward. Otherwise, if I'm taking this and throwing it somewhere around 87.35, I would have to lower this thing. And I would also assume that we're not going to break this big red candle, but that could work too. That gives me about $2.30, something like that. $3.30. That would be a little bit better. Probably would be still in the range of a. If the Fed picks it up, otherwise I was going to say it might have to be something that you count on holding it overnight. This is still off of a hourly chart as well, so if I do hold that overnight, that would be something that I would consider just based on the time frame that we're trading. And unless this thing rips up, covers us right in the morning, then that could work for the day. Otherwise, that at least is the idea of the trade. And then if I could tighten that stop a little bit, I'd feel a lot better. But that looks good for AMD if that happens. Again, this thing could open up, drop right away. I don't know if I want to take it bearish. Not at that point. All right. MAR. Lawrence says KHC. Kraft Heinz. Family of Tom Brady. All right. You got Marriott. So Marriott has a nice little gap up. Trend has been bullish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. Probably have to stick with that trend as much as possible. But on a wave count basis, how much is this going to run afterwards? This is probably, I don't know, but this is probably the 1, 2. Is that 3, 4? This is 5. You're just putting in some kind of ABC. It's run a lot already. So again, I don't know if I want to chase it bullish. I'd rather see a pullback. If we get any type of a pullback, especially to, I mean, I'd probably even say 174.33 would be a decent entry spot. And that's $5 in the wrong direction. Otherwise, if at open or something that we could see some kind of a bullish setup, bullish would be the way to go. Just follow the trend on that. But decent little gap up. All right, let's see what else we got. Lily with the interesting gap. Yep, kind of bear flagging at this point. Eli Lilly. I gotta switch that one. Looks to me like we're essentially at a 50% retrace. Question is, where do I start this thing? I'm gonna start it down here to be greedy. So you're at the 50 right now. Again, trend has been bullish. Would like to stick in that direction. This is roughly your 50% retrace. So you could probably even play this candle almost any type of a break from here. Watch out for that VPOC sitting somewhere at 426.30. But you could even take something to the effect of This would be your bullish. I don't know if that candle's closed. That's the only thing. So if that's a little bit of a high wave off the 50 though, that would look decent. So you bullish entry there, and you can go stop here if you want to get a little aggressive, which is probably what I would do. But again, I don't really care about losing the R's so much. And I'll tell you why I would do this. One, you do have a little bit of support for the 50. If that's not going to work, all right, you're going to probably try it again somewhere around the 415. But also, you do have that VPOC right in the way, and I don't know what happens from the VPOC, right? So, but if you're also newer or just want to be a little more comfortable, you could easily take your stop down to 415.40, right? But you're not going to get triggered into that unless this hourly candle breaks, and just wait for that one to close. So before setting that one up, make sure that's closed and that's a legit candle. Otherwise, we got pretty close to 618. And again, we're just kind of hovering around that 50% at this point. So it's probably not a bad entry point, but yeah, I'd probably stick more bullish than bearish on this. Just follow that trend up. Looks decent though. Pretty good gap. Let me just see it on the daily real quick. Yeah, it's already up so much. Ay. Yeah, is that all-time highs? Eli Lilly is the best company in the world. Look at that. And I thought it was Snapchat. But yeah, good gap. And again, the only thing I don't like is there's been just forever of buying into this gap up. You would think there was some people coming in, but yeah, look for somewhere around that maybe breakout of that big candle. And I think bullish has been the direction. I don't see a reason to kind of change that. But I do agree. It does look interesting. All right. Jay saying energy looks a little bit weak. We'll start with XOM. Yep. So XOM reported absolutely astonishing numbers, but it was already priced in. We're selling. We've been breaking down. Huge sell yesterday. This should be a retest gap. I don't really see where would retest. Probably we could get into like this 109. Oh, pre-market, we're already lower than that too. I guess the next stop becomes somewhere around 108.36, and then probably looking for about 107.18. They're strong. I mean, XOM is not going out of business. But yeah, look for this little area over here. This is still a big major gap. I think we did fill it technically yesterday. I would expect this thing gets bought up. I would like to see a sell candle first down to like give me like 107.80. Start looking at 107.80. Otherwise, I can't make too much room back to. I don't think I can make that unless they give me like a high wave out of the gate, small high wave that I could take a break on that retest. But otherwise, yeah, I'd be still looking to buy this thing. In all honesty, you do have a little bit of a double top. If we were to do a fib on this one, you're probably looking at, I don't know if that's the exact low. So these numbers are going to be slightly off, but that is not only the gap fill, but that's a 50% retrace. All right, let's wait. Let's wait for the 618. So if I was to buy it, I'm going to probably wait out for 106.61. And we'll see if that could be a decent bounce spot on it. Otherwise, at open, probably expect that retest, and then that does look like a pretty significant breakdown, and we probably do continue down a little bit further to that 106 zone. So we'll see. But yep, definitely looks a little bit weaker. I would just not short it out of the gate at worst case. CVX is probably very similar to it. CVX, I mean, the longer term chart looks much different. So we're not even hitting double tops. We're just kind of creating new lower highs. But again, you're going to start running into, does it get safe somewhere around 155.04? I would venture a guess that that's probably around the zone that we start heading to. But again, this is technically a retest gap, so looks shortable. I would just wait a little bit, get a couple bullish candles first, and then look to go short. But looks good. CHWY. The Chew Dog. Was this off earnings? Nope. Raymond James upgrades CHWY to 36. Good job, CHWY. You finally did it. You finally got the upgrade. Good little support on CHWY. Nice hammer off support too. So that would be the candle to play. This is a gap and go. Let's throw this a little bit higher on the list. I'm going to put this so far as the #1 spot. And then AMD, we're going to get up there as well for right now. It's into a little bit of resistance. Maybe we get some kind of a pullback. Pullback would be if we could catch it at like 31.70, 31.67, something like that. This would be around the zone. I'd be interested in bullish. But yeah, over nice little pivot. This is probably, do we have a wave count on this thing? Kind of, sort of, but I don't know. I think this is probably some kind of double top ABC. So this would be your 1, your 2. That can't be your 3. It's too small. But if that was your 3, then this is 4, 5, and then this little consolidation down here at support is going to be your ABC. That's a very tough. That could be your 3. It could be, because essentially your 2 it lasted a lot longer, but it was just all sideways action. So that could be your 2. That could be your 3, and then 4, 5 ABC. Maybe look for some kind of correction. Watch that one for maybe a swing trade as well. It looks decent. But I do like the fact that you are kind of bouncing off that little double bottom, and it hasn't really seen much of the correction that the market's had this year in 2023. So CHWY could be interesting, and I do like it for a bullish play. So we'll have to watch that one, see what kind of candles it gives us at open. Let's see what else we got. KHC, Kraft Heinz. All right, Kraft Heinz, good gap up. Solid $1.10. That's their monthly average range. But yeah, they're a little bit slower usually to trade. You are at a little bit of slight resistance. This is a good gap and go though. Next target on this one could be about 41.17. And if that one breaks, because that one is a little bit to the weaker side, 41.36. And then maybe back to like this 42.31 range. But that looks decent. KHC. You definitely gapping above a lot of resistance on this one. So yeah, I would love to see some kind of a little pullback in a worst case. But we'll throw this on the list too. It's tough to go long, but it does have some room to the upside. Like I said, $1.10 is a big, massive move for KHC. You don't really see that too much, so it could be fadeable. Ron says, "Good morning, DJ. Thank you for understanding about my schedule." Man, it is Ron's birthday today. Happy birthday to Ron. Lauren says, "I was actually thinking more fade since all-time highs. I guess EL is going to fill the gap from November." So let's find that gap. Let's actually just find the ticker first. We'll start with that. There we go. Estee Lauder. What a gap down. Gap down. Get to the chopper. Take my hand if you want to live. Yeah, that looks like it's very plausible that gap sitting somewhere at 194.03 does fill. This is technically, I guess, a gap and go. It's a little doji-ish. Yikes. Estee Lauder. Estee Slaughter. Yeah, to me, that gap looks like it's going to fill. So I would be looking bearish on this one. Again, that's a massive gap, though. That would make me very uncomfortable to short after that type of gap. Would love to see it come down a little bit more and probably look to play the fade, but there's nothing really holding this thing back at this point from filling that. So if you do want to go short, have your stops in place, but looking for about 194.16. You are trapping everybody who's ever heard of Estee Lauder. So that's not bad. I could dig it. All right. I'm going to get this on the list. We'll see how this one does at open. All right. Hector says Buenos Diaz. Buenos Diaz with a Z. Happy J Payne Day. Greetings from Jack. Juan Pablo says, good morning, everybody. Maloney says, did make Meta drop today. Let's see what Meta's doing real quick. I'll do my best. I mean, I've already tweeted Zuckerberg, but apparently he only uses Facebook. I don't know. Probably going to hang out there for, that's such a strong gap that honestly, it's probably going to be inside. Be careful on this one. So you do have some kind of support around 237.50. So if you are in the bear camp and want that gap to fill, 237.50 has got to be your zone. Hector Hernandez is always around. Give me a call. That's not even to me. He actually blocked me. He doesn't want me to call. It's crazy. Elf as a sympathy. Yeah, that's got some room too. This one is a retest gap though, so be careful of that. And you're probably sitting somewhere very close to a definitely sympathy play though, 100%. But you're probably sitting close to that 50 right now. So you're right at that 50, somewhere around 88.05. That is a retest gap. So this one could get faded up higher before it actually comes down. So be careful on that one. Yeah, quite the list indeed. And then we got Tesla. But only 1 minute and 45 seconds left till the ding, ding, ding. All right. Tesla's just been kind of stuck and grinding in this zone. So honestly, I have no clue. You are at good support on this one. Like that was the resistance that broke, that became support. I think it's going to be very depending on the market at this point, because there's definitely room to the downside, which would be somewhere around this 145.16, and then there's a ton of room back up to even like this 174, 175 zone will be my next target. So you have a lot of room kind of in both ways, and we've been doing nothing since earnings came out, but this is a good gap down. I like it a lot. We broke that little high wave-ish candle, came back up. This was the retest. Obviously, momentum has been bearish on a longer term than just the last, whatever it was, week and a half. And right now we're opening at support. So give it some time, but I don't know. I like what Maloney says a lot. I mean, I like everything Maloney says, but she said, yeah, she thinks the shorts are going to kind of like get a little nervous down here. But we still have some decent room. We still got $15 to the downside. And we're opening below 160 is the key level in this thing. At least psychological hold number, but we're in no man's land. So see how this one plays. Hopefully we can get some kind of pennant pattern. That'd be cool. Pennant out of the gate. Oh no, we only got 10 seconds left. All right, I see some more stocks. I can't get to those, but everybody in YouTube land, you guys are absolutely incredible. It is quite the list today. Be careful. We got J Payne Day. J Payne. There's the opening bell. That means that's the sound. Every time a bell rings, you got to hit the thumbs up, the like, subscribe, and do what all the other YouTube people say is important to do. Otherwise, worst case, go to reallectrading.com. We do have intermediate, beginner, and advanced classes. You guys can check those out. We got mentor groups. We got whatever you need. Otherwise, you guys are incredible, and